Hi, my name is Alex Patton, and this is my climate impact and feedback presentation. So, my main subject is ticks in Alaska, an imposing threat to the state's wildlife and people. So, our first question is, why is this impact occurring? Now, it's occurring for a couple of main reasons. A, consistent warmer temperatures every year, longer summers, shorter winters, they all kind of combine to create this newly habitable environment that ticks are now able to much more easily reproduce and spread. And in the rare event that a tick does make its way to Alaska that's a non-native species, it can multiply at a much faster pace than it used to be able to. And why is this important? Major tick populations already cover the lower 48. There's tick endemics all over the US, mainly in the Northeast, with a lot of ticks now becoming more prevalent in like Arkansas and Oklahoma, like the Lone Star tick. They're vectors of serious diseases. They can spread super quickly. They spread Lyme disease. They spread just, if left unchecked, they can, like Rocky Mountain fever, they can kill major populations of Alaska wildlife, such as hares and moose populations. And if it got serious enough, they could start going after, pets and at some point people. Where is the impact mainly occurring? Now, rising tick numbers are a huge issue in Canada, as well as Norway and Sweden. And if left unchecked, we would start to see a similar trend in Alaska. Now, in Canada, their main issue is the winter tick, i.e., the ghost moose tick. And we're already seeing that in Norway and Sweden because they're experiencing the same thing that Alaskans are now, these warmer temperatures, these lighter seasons, and ticks are just rocketing upwards in population in these areas. And they've spread throughout Yukon, and fortunately, due to our preservation efforts in Alaska, we haven't really seen much of an uptick. However, if we left this unchecked, we would start to see a very similar trend line. Social ecological systems, it really affects the wildlife and human interactions because, with ticks starting to increase in population, it's possible for wildlife to spread new non-native species of ticks in Alaska to humans, as well as humans to spread these ticks to wildlife. The winter tick can, in rare cases, be carried through humans. And if that was, let's say it unlatches somewhere in Alaska, goes into the wildlife and bites a moose, we could easily see a completely new strain of tick just appear incredibly quickly. One of our biggest concerns is pets that have ticks on them being brought into the state of Alaska. This is especially seen in southeastern Alaska, where tick populations are already a little more prevalent than interior. And the only places that we've seen the Lone Star tick, the Rocky Mountain tick, the American dog tick are in, Juneau, Sitka, some more touristy areas where pets are being brought in and these ticks are unlatching, going into the wild, biting a native species, and then slowly beginning to spread. Now, there is a huge human and tick feedback loop that mainly starts with infected ticks and moves all the way to human risk, human contact with ticks, environmental contact with ticks. However, there's many ways to stop this. The first the first line of defense here is public awareness. If people and state park representatives and medical professionals know how to handle ticks, they know what to look for, they know warning signs, they can treat Lyme disease, they can successfully identify wildlife with ticks, then we can help stop the spread very quickly, especially with at-home treatments, or not at-home treatments, at-home identifiers. Like if the general public is able to capture ticks, they can report them, and then we can stop this spread very quickly. A case example is pretty much the entire state of Maine. Their winter tick infestation has grown into an incredibly terrible endemic in just the past few years. The winter tick is currently the leading cause of moose calf deaths, And in the fall of 2021, several thousand moose calves were tracked. And in the spring of 2022, 90% of these calves had died to the winter tick. And in some cases, a single moose can be infested with up to 90,000 ticks. So all it takes is one of these moose with an infestation, and dozens of thousands of ticks can spread with little to no difficulty. However, there is significant action taken over the past decade or so. My personal favorite choice has been the Submit a Tick program because it combines professionals in the field along with the general public. You know, this entire program centers around the public seeing a tick, attempting to identify a tick, and sending it to a professional where they can professionally look at the tick and make sure that Alaska has no invasive non-native tick species, slowly moving into our land. And in the past decade or so, 4,500 ticks have been submitted to this program and 15 species have been identified in Alaska. The only problem with that is only 6 of these tick species were native, meaning that there are 9 non-native tick species that have somehow found their way into the state. Now, these aren't significant population numbers for the non-native species. However, it does show that it is definitely possible for these species to get into Alaska. Fortunately, the winter tick has yet to be seen in this state. These are my references. Thank you for listening.